They never really understand me. I need a comment like I need a Grammy. She lays the flow with her designer panties. Yeah, we eating plenty, check the pantry. From the sound waves to the rebel lines, from the tattered bridges to expensive dishes. Now we eating ends with these new beginnings. Yet to sign a major for the bankroll, but thank the Lord that it dies in penitentiary. Night sky, but my inside is empty. Mighty flashy with a bird's eye. Scribble gems to get my pockets lined till I get arthritis. Switch my heart is icy, walking past the bouncer like I knew somebody. Acrylics hella cloudy, the poison ivy. Went from like a stronger with a co-sign me. I don't even like me, no, I'm staring in the mirror indifferent. Who is this nigga? He claimed me the realest, the shy, but timid. The riddles were fingers, they simple-minded.
Alright buddy, how's it going today?
Not bad, just another day out here.
What'd you just pick up? Tell us what you picked up.
Oh, so I just picked up a 2002 BMW E46 Coupe.
So why do they do the letter number thing? I can never remember what the hell I'm talking about.
I'm not 100% sure. It has something to do with the chassis code.
Yeah.
For some reason, the E46 is a particular chassis code of this BMW that I have. It's got 179,000 miles on it. I've personally put about 358 miles on it.
Okay, so tell me this. So is it the same engine but naturally aspirated that's in like an M3?
To be honest with you, I couldn't tell. I'm new to this Euro BMW thing.
Yeah, you're more of a Honda guy.
Yeah, I do like my Hondas.
Where's the VTEC?
Where is the VTEC? That is absolutely the question to be asked. But
no, so what I want to talk about today, guys, is some people would argue that it's a great day to be a car enthusiast, right? They think that they said this is like the golden age, right? We got cars coming back, like the GT500 has been back for a while, gone and come again, I guess. And we got the Supra's back, and we got the Civic Type R here finally in the States. Some of these great cars, the NSX is back, but I think there's a huge problem in today's car world, and I would argue that it is a harder time to be a car guy than it used to be. And I think part of it I want to start out with is you go on YouTube, you go on the old YouTube like you're on right now, and you see cars that are pushing 1,000 horsepower, right? That's all you see. So it creates this false vision in people's mind that to have a credible street car, you have to have like 800 to 1,200 horsepower. And it's just, one, if you're on the street, you're not putting that power down. And two, people completely don't appreciate all the cars that have like 250, 300 horsepower. I still think they're good cars.
They are good cars, and that's what I feel like sometimes the car community loses sight of that, or there are certain divides that develop in the community. I remember like way back when we first probably were getting into the scene. Do you remember the old Tint Masters?
Yep.
For those of you that don't know, it's a local shop. There are a couple other locations in our area, but Tint Masters, and they were like the guys in the industry. And
think of going to Harry's in the first Fast and Furious. That's like our Tint Masters.
Dude, yes, it really was. But every Friday and Saturday night, they used to forward text messages. We didn't have Facebook back then. We just had cell phones, and we used texting a lot of the time. We would just forward Tint Masters, meet at Tint Masters, 7 p.m., 9 p.m. cruise, and we roll. Yeah. And then you would just show up, and it would be everything from probably, I mean, the modern day Prius, but the equivalent of that time period would be there. And there would be just people with little to no knowledge on the cars, all the way up to people that were bringing out vehicles that they put like $25,000, $30,000 into, and it wouldn't matter. We were all there because we all shared the same passion of being a car enthusiast, and I don't see a lot of that nowadays. No, the car shows have kind of gotten wrecked. I think part of that is because people have gotten soft. This is the generation of everybody gets a trophy. Everyone wants a participation trophy. You have guys, look at my sign back there. Your Grand Prix isn't fast, right? So people come out and they're like, oh, I tinted my windows and I plasti dipped my wheels and debadged my car. That's a build. You have to respect my build. So I think that part of the problem is people aren't willing to invest into these newer modern cars, and I think a huge problem is they're so expensive. You talk like my Fox body in the garage, or a Civic back in the day. Those cars, there were thousands upon thousands of aftermarket opportunities, and there still are for these cars nowadays. But when you got things like the EcoBoosts have direct injection and all this other crap and all the OBD2 stuff, one, it limits your ability to modify these cars yourselves without running into issues and spending a grand minimum on a standalone ECU, or the parts are way too expensive. I mean, to build a car, and people, like, yes, there are cars and platforms out there that are very easy to make power on. I mean, look at the Coyote. You can put a Pro Charger on a bone stock Coyote with the stock clutch, stock transmission, and push 650 horsepower. Yeah, that's no joke.
Pretty reliably. I mean, you might grenade the diff if you're like launching it all the time. But I mean, David Patterson has showed us this. If you're here, you obviously know who David Patterson is. He's pushing like over, I think he's close to 700. He just put like a twin screw blower on his car, and I know he's pushing even more power, but with his Pro Charger set up on a bone stock Coyote, he literally had like 650 horsepower. Like, we're talking just shy of a 5.8 GT500. I mean, it's nuts, but what they fail to tell you is that kit is $6,000. You know, between those, a Pro Charger, a bolt-on supercharger kit nowadays for a car is between like $3,000 to $6,000. You know, back when you were modifying old pushrod 5.0s, I think it, you know, it was easier to get parts, slap a carburetor on it, rejet it, put headers on it, and I can stand in the damn engine bay while I work on it. You know, it's just a lot. I think a lot has changed. I think one of the other things is, and we talked about this when we drove the Supra video. If you guys haven't seen the Supra video, I'll put a card somewhere up here. But cars have gotten kind of numb, right? So like the GT500, the Supra, arguably two of the most driver-focused cars on the market now that are, you know, you and I could afford someday if we saved and did our, and counted our, and pinched our pennies and stuff like that. They're not, you know, it didn't get NSX'd, and that's become kind of the phrase now because the NSX came back and it's so ungodly expensive that nobody can buy it. But these cars, you can't get a Shelby GT500 or a Supra with a manual transmission. And to me, that's absolutely ridiculous. Like, if you're a true car enthusiast, I mean, everyone has their niche, right? So there's, you know, your stance guys, your show car guys, whatever. But the majority of the population that wants those cars wants a freaking manual. I mean, the majority of the people that are going to be buying or interested, remotely interested in a Shelby Mustang or a Supra are going to want a manual transmission.
Absolutely. And for example, like plain point, the E46 that I just got, the previous owner swapped a 5-speed manual transmission in it, and that was a huge factor into why I wanted it. But not only that, but like, I feel like our generation growing up, we were the kids that first had the poster cars on the walls. You know, the cars that you look at and you're like, maybe one day. And after that Need for Speed Most Wanted came out, that E46, that GTR one, that was a poster car for me. And lucky for me, I'm in a position where I was able to get it. And I'm just truly grateful for the individual that I bought the vehicle from. Shout out to you. I really appreciate you, bud. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and here's the other thing is I grind the shit out of your gears, by the way. Every car is different, and the clutch in that thing engages so weird. I'm not good at shifting it, and I daily a manual, but every car is different, right? Mine engages right at the bottom, and yours is kind of like the middle towards the top is when it finally catches, and it's just weird to get used to. But what was I gonna say? Oh, here's my first. You want to hear my first manual transmission driving experience story? I actually learned how to drive a manual transmission in a Porsche 944S, like a really nice one.
Get out of here.
And yeah, like Porsche. Yeah, like Porsche clutches are cheap, right? So that was a good one. Yeah. But right after I learned that, I was about 14 years old, and I had bought a 70s Super Beetle. And we didn't even buy it. It was up in Crookston, about an hour from here. And they said if you can tow it out of here, you can have it, right? So we did it. I found a bad ground. That's the whole reason the thing wouldn't run. We're talking 4-speed manual on the floor, air-cooled VW Beetle, right? This thing was roached out. I mean, it smelled like rat piss. And it was rotted out, but I was so excited, and I was like, you know, just getting to that point where I was frustrated that I didn't have my license yet and all that other stuff. And I was like, Dad, teach me how to drive manual. And he's like, well, yeah, we'll do it eventually. We'll do it eventually. You don't even have a license. We can't do this. I grew up in the country. I'm like, we can find a spot for me to do this. And finally, one day, I got so pissed, I went to the backyard, took the air compressor, filled up the tires, and I just took it, right? Well, the car would pop out of 4th gear, like if you didn't hold your hand on the shifter. And I found that out because I drove down an old 2-lane road about 5 miles from my parents' place, and I stalled it. And I couldn't get it to start again. It was stuck in gear. Or it popped out of gear, and then I couldn't get it to start without dumping the clutch and killing it, right? So I had to walk all the way home and tell my dad that I had taken the car out illegally and like it got dumped somewhere. And I remember like I was expecting him to just blow up. And he didn't blow up, he just looked at me like, I'm so disappointed. And then we drove the lawn tractor all the way there and towed it back.
That's a pretty good story.
Yeah, it was just, I mean, it was a shit show. So I think that's, you know, we have all these fun stories of when we learned how to drive these manual cars, and they're just more personal, right? There's this disconnect now with cars, and I don't think that it's going to do anybody any favors. And I think in the future, you know, car companies are here to sell cars. They're not here to cater to you and me because we're like this much of the pie, right? So I think what's going to happen is there's already a limited amount of us with inflation. These cars are crazy expensive. I mean, they're just, if you look at what an enthusiast car cost back in the day, a Fox body, whatever, compared to like, you know, if we're talking Fox body, a new Mustang GT, you can spend $40-some thousand on a Mustang GT. We're not talking Shelby, nothing. We're just talking like
base.
Yeah, and it's just nuts. So they've already priced us out of the market there, and if they're going to take the fun away from these cars, you know, the ability to feel like you're really connected, I don't give a shit. I'm sure you don't give a shit if the car is, you know, this much faster in the quarter mile with paddle shift. Like, I really don't care. And I will say I was surprised in the Supra. Like, I thought I would absolutely hate it. It was responsive enough to the point where I didn't mind driving it, but the whole time in the back of my mind, it was still like, God, I wish this car had a 6-speed. You know, I wish I could completely control everything that's going on. So I think what's going to happen is they've priced us out of the market, and they've uninterested us with selling numbers and performance on paper, and that led to the elimination of the manual, right? So I think, you know, these cars are just going to die off. So appreciate them while you can, because maybe we'll get 1 or 2 years of a Supra or a GT500 with a manual in it. But, you know, I remember this GT500 right here. When this came out, this is the magazine from when the GT500 first came back out in like 2008. And in like bold print in there.
You still have this?
Yeah. In like bold print, it says only available in a 6-speed manual.
That's
and
what's
I
up.
remember like, hell yeah, like don't offer this thing in an automatic. And you'd go to a car show and see a GT500 and there'd be an auto in there, and you knew it was just a clone GT, you know, because that wasn't the thing. But I also think that you and me, car enthusiasts, we're always going to be buying the older cars anyway, so I don't think we're going to be going anywhere anytime soon. I'm just disappointed to see some of the cars that are out now, and they're more focused on selling to guys that really aren't into cars. The guys that are buying all this new stuff, you know, not everyone, but a lot of them, they're like, oh, this is so cool, it looks so cool, it's so fast. I want a connection. I want a connection to the car while I'm driving it. I want a manual transmission. So yes, this is a rant. Yes, I know this is overplayed, but it's just something that I thought should be addressed. So I hope you guys liked the video. I hope you liked the new crib. Lucian, thanks for being here, right? Before you leave, you got to sign the table. This is a thing. You got to sign it. Sweet. Alright guys, so thanks for tuning into this video. Thanks for checking out the new crib. Thanks for being here, man. We'll be back at you soon with another discussion video. So thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Mighty flashy with a bird's eye. Scribble gems to get my pockets lined till I get arthritis. Switch my heart is icy. Walking past the bouncer like I knew.